Square Garden, everybody, in the championship of the Big East. Syracuse, as expected, is here, but look at who they're playing. For the first time in the history of the school, the Huskies of Connecticut have a chance to win the Big East championship. A remarkable story. And now it'll come down to Connecticut and Syracuse and the probable #1 seed in the East. And welcome. I'm Brett Musburger along with Billy Packer and James Brown. Well, when the season started, they polled the Big East coaches. Give us how you think the conference will turn out. Look at the 8th team, Connecticut. Then they played. They rolled out the basketballs, and Connecticut and Syracuse were co-champions for the regular season. And now, Billy Packer, they come together, a one-game shootout. Just a great story.
It is a great story, but this was not by accident. This Connecticut club has worked their way here. #1 regular season, tough enough to do it. And then to work your way to the championship game proves the caliber of your ball club. It is a legitimate #1, potentially #1 seeded club in the country.
Billy, Derek Coleman played a spectacular game yesterday. 25 points, 23 rebounds against Villanova.
Well, a lot of people have argued who's the National Player of the Year. Brett, in the last 2 weeks, there is no question who's been the best player in the country. It's been Derek Coleman. Rebounding, shot blocking, great defensive play, his ball handling, and obviously his scoring.
All right, and against the best teams in the country, he has led the way.
And so has Syracuse, 7-0, and you can see, look at this, Derek 21, Stevie 18, Billy Owens 23. They have played extremely well in the toughest of ball games.
So Connecticut coach Jim Calhoun will have his hands full against that arsenal.
He really will, and of course his club presses. So this is going to be an up-tempo game. Pressure defense, good movement from Syracuse on offense. But one of the things he fears most is the fact that everybody on Syracuse's starting club handles the ball well, and they can all finish it off against the break.
Very wise man. A little politicking there with the officials before we get started. Back with the opening tab in a moment.
CBS Sports coverage of today's Big East Championship game is sponsored by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Pizza Hut, an official NCAA corporate sponsor. Pizza Hut, making it great. And by today's Chevrolet, who invite you to see why nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America.
You gotta think about making a living.
Well, didn't you ever want to be a baseball player?
Sure, like everybody has that dream.
It's not a dream.
A lot of competition out there, son.
One day it could all come down to a few inches. For those few inches, it's good to know you have Goodyear tires.
Of course. I'd be proud to have a ball player for a son.
That's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
Very soon, the time will come for the next generation of America's best-selling full-size car, the 1991 Chevrolet Caprice. Prepare to be impressed.
Now you can get an NCAA mini basketball for only $2.99 with every Pizza Hut pizza you buy. But hurry in, they're going fast. The NCAA mini basketball from Pizza Hut.
Making it great. We go above and beyond just like you, above and beyond what we have to do.
I'm a Prudential representative, and I help people review their life insurance needs because I know how much the right life insurance means to me and my family.
You take pride in your life, so do we. Going above and beyond is our policy. The Rock, the Prudential above.
Excuse me. Are those Bugle Boy jeans that you're wearing?
Why, yes. They are Bugle Boy jeans.
Thank you.
Back at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Big East championship game. matching the top seed Syracuse against the number 2 seed Connecticut. Jim Calhoun in his 4th year at UConn, a remarkable turnaround in his starting lineup today, will break down this way. The freshman Scott Burrell will be at 1 forward, joining Nenev Hinefeld of Israel. And in the middle today, they will go with 7-1 Dan Cyrillic. That's because Rod Sellers out with a knee injury. Tate George of Newark, New Jersey is the point man. And perhaps the best athlete on the floor is Chris Smith. He's the sophomore guard from Bridgeport. They'll match up against Jimmy Boeheim's team this way. Boeheim down in there giving his final instructions. Smooth Billy Owens, who has been playing with a bad back here at the Garden, 1 forward. And the record breaker, Derek Coleman, LaRon Ellis, will be the center man. Then in the backcourt, Michael Edwards, only a freshman and showing vast improvement over the last month of the season. And Stevie Thompson, who can finish the fast break as well as anyone. As you would imagine for a game of this magnitude, a veteran crew, Jody Sylvester, Larry Limbo, and Jim Howell. When you look back at the Big East Conference that was discovered, founded, put together by Dave Gavitt, only 3 schools have won the tournament championship. And now Connecticut can join that elite group, but they'll have to do it the hard way, and that's earn it on the floor. Dark jerseys, George, number 32, brings it to Burrell, who's 24, and we're underway with the first shot. And Billy Owens with the game's first rebound.
Owens looked more flexible on that rebound. We saw him anytime yesterday. And there's that 2-3 zone that Connecticut uses so well and tracks so well out of.
Edwards with the first shot for Syracuse, and it's a 3-point score.
Brent, 11 of his last 21 threes he's made.
This is Hinefeld, number 40, sending it back to George.
Billy Owens on Hinefeld gives Coleman a chance on Cyrillic to help out a little bit.
Smith, the only scorer in double figures against Georgetown, smoothly, but he missed. Ellis off quickly, but a bad outlet pass intended for Thompson and cut off by Burrell and Hinefeld.
How about Hinefeld's court presence to realize he was almost stepping into the backcourt situation?
Foul inside, and it's on Edwards.
A matchup that Jimmy Boeheim is really concerned about because Edwards not a great defender, and with Tate George having so much size on him, he could have problems.
Right underneath the basket, and he traveled. Cyrillic turns it over to Syracuse. Orangemen lead it 3-0.
Different type of out-of-bounds play for Connecticut than what most coaches use, setting the men up so high.
Edwards finally got it across. Coleman, though, lost it. And there's that pressure out on top.
Hinefeld's second
George
steal.
traveled, and he turns it over. That's their second turnover. Perhaps a little nervous, which would be understandable for this team. During the regular season, they split 2 games. Connecticut won up at Hartford. And then in a shootout at the Carrier Dome, Syracuse beat the Huskies by 4 points.
You can see this press is 3-quarter court, trying to slow Syracuse down a little.
They finish beautifully. Owens coming for the field goal. The foul on Cyrillic, number 55, and Billy Owens will come to the line.
Brent, the huge difference between Syracuse and Georgetown in attacking Connecticut is the fact that Syracuse has every player that can finish off against the press. Yesterday, it seemed forever that it'd be Jefferson or Allen that would get the ball, and when they beat the press, they'd throw it back out. Syracuse will finish.
Last Syracuse opened up an early double-digit lead on Connecticut in that second game. And here in the Big East Tournament Championship, they're out by 6. George is open. He flashed beautifully, but couldn't get it to fall. On the inside, Cyrillic has it taken away by Coleman. One of the things about Syracuse, so many players can handle the ball, as Owens is showing you right here. A great pass to Ellis, who is fouled, and he'll come to the line. A very impressive, positive start by Syracuse in this game. They are playing with confidence for Jim Boeheim right now, and they look like a team that is the #1 seed.
And you could see Billy Owens so much different than yesterday, in which he never really exerted himself. He was really nervous about his back condition, but he showed on that play that he's ready to go. But you know, when the season started, everybody said Syracuse doesn't have a point guard. That's going to be a huge problem. But when you have your front court people that can handle the ball like Syracuse, they can eliminate pressure.
Lead pass and led too much and out of bounds on the turnover. So Connecticut off to a shaky start right now, and this could change the game overall, and that Connecticut now may have to get into a shootout if they fall behind, as they did up in the Carrier Dome.
Well, they get their offense started with their defense. Not unusual to see them a little shaky on the offensive end.
Jump pass, a little bit too high for Thompson. Huskies come back. Cyrillic jump hook, and all white at the glass. Three Orangemen rebounders, and Thompson will put it on the floor.
Not a good shot, because nobody from Connecticut was anywhere near the boards to rebound in this.
Blocking foul goes against UConn, and Burrell picks up his first. He went down taking the charge. He was not set properly, so the officials hit him with fouls.
In a 2-3 zone, the man playing the low wing really shouldn't have a problem with somebody dropping the baseline on him. Burrell just wasn't in position.
6-0. Syracuse with the lead in the ball. Now it's 8.
Syracuse leads 8-0.
Well, it was 14-zip. The Carrier Dome before Connecticut got on track. They don't want to start a championship game like this, though, and get too far behind the Syracuse club that kind of has waltzed into the championship.
Hinnefeld on the run. And again, Syracuse rebounding, and that was Hinnefeld reaching up over the top and committing his first personal, and Jim Calhoun's team at the 16:43 mark still looking for its first score. They are 0 of 5 from the field.
Picking up full court.
To Owens, and he traveled. Boeheim wanted the second foul called on Hinnefeld, but he didn't get it.
Now that's one of those situations that if Owens has touched the ball and caught it, he becomes a dribbler, and there is no time and distance there in drawing the charge. A good, easy call is to say he was walking.
Good wraparound by Burrell, and Cyrillic was not ready. He had his back turned to him.
Zone is really active.
Thompson comes in. That's his second field goal here in the first half. And Jim Calhoun uses an early timeout.
Welcome to Lumina Sedan. It has been designed with care for you and yours.
Listen to the heartbeat.
With rear doors that open wide, plenty of room for the family to enjoy. And even Scotchgard fabric protector comes standard. The family Lumina Sedan. When it comes to new ideas, nobody's winning like.
Heartbeat of America, that's today's Chevrolet.
next time you experience headaches, backaches, nausea, and sleepless nights, there is one way to get relief fast. GMAC. We make financing and leasing your new GM vehicle painless.
I'm on my way. Boise?
When your travel plans suddenly change,
You gotta help me. I checked my case to Boston, now they want me in Boise.
it's good to know Delta's got a team like Cumbus
Walt, I need a recheck fast.
to Price
Large sample case?
to Morris
number 0479.
to Eldridge.
I got it.
Great job, Walt. No problem, Mr. DePrima.
Thanks.
Mr. DePrima, Mr. Michael DePrima, please call your office.
Walt? About that bag.
He's the CIA and the Pentagon's favorite prince. You would be too if you had his money. We'll show you what we mean tonight on 60 Minutes.
Billy Packer, I'm Brett Musburger. This is for the Big East Championship, and Derek Coleman is closing out a fabulous career at Syracuse, the all-time scoring and rebounding leader. He needs just 17 more rebounds, and he will tie Ralph Sampson's NCAA career mark of 15-11, 1,511. And Billy, that's terribly impressive for a forward.
It really is. Of course, the all-time rebound leader is Tom Gola, but they count it now as the modern basketball from 72 to 73 on.
Offensive rebound, and Smith, who was their scoring leader yesterday against Georgetown, gets Connecticut on the board at the 15:42 mark. And now an opportunity comes for him to complete the three-point play.
Really the first time that Connecticut has gotten on the boards and let their guards get involved. Now, if Smith is going to be down that low rebounding, though, Brent, it's going to give Syracuse an opportunity to run. And here comes a young man into the game with quite a story.
Rod Sellers, the 6'9" sophomore center, forced out of yesterday's game in the early going against Georgetown because he re-injured a knee that he originally hurt in the game against the Hoyas down in the Capitol Center. The knee will require some sort of surgery in the offseason. He's going to give it a try. He said it's not any more painful than it was when he started yesterday's game. So Smith makes it a 10-3 game.
2-2-1 press.
Coleman, the overall ability of Syracuse to handle the ball is telling against that press. They caused Georgetown much more difficulty with it yesterday.
Well, remember, they used Mutombo and Alonzo Mourning to get the ball just over half court. They had nobody down to finish. But here you've got Syracuse players, all of which can handle it.
That's the 5th turnover in the early going. Syracuse leading by 9.
You see what a big target Ron Ellis is to throw the ball up above the defense.
Thompson swatted away underneath beautifully by Burrell, the freshman, with a spectacular block. And Smith on a runner, taken down by Ellis, off now to Edwards. It's a 3-on-2, and Owens couldn't quite get the handle on it. Let's take another look at Burrell's block.
Well, we saw him yesterday on a similar play. He just explodes off the floor. He's so quick to the ball, a great all-around athlete, and he gets it done at just 6'5".
George, a 2-point field goal. It's his first of the game, and it's 12-5.
Brent, a lot of times when you press like this, you get your points in bunches. And that's what Connecticut is having a tendency to do here.
Ellis, his first field goal.
Well, we've seen Thompson, Coleman, Owens, and now Ellis finish it off.
George couldn't get the roll, knocked free, and here's Edwards. And they bust out again with Coleman, who can put it on the floor. Beautiful.
Brent, why this is working is Connecticut's guards are penetrating. Nobody's rotating back to stop the break. And not many teams have a Derek Coleman, but Syracuse is really taking advantage of the fact that now they can release somebody on the fast break. Many times it'll be Stevie Thompson, but it's not unlike Derek Coleman or Billy Owens to do it as well.
Derek Coleman at the line for 1 shot.
17-5 lead.
Gwynn into the ball game. John Gwynn, outstanding score. Got things started for Connecticut yesterday with his outside shooting.
Number 15, he just cut inside, Billy. He's over on the left here. And it is Smith who wanted to hand it off for the easy basket by Walker, who also came into the game. Torino Walker, number 42, is out of Florida. And Billy, you were impressed with the quality minutes he turned in coming off the bench.
I thought that was the key to the game yesterday, was not only using the bench so wisely as Jim Calhoun did, but then having the guys that came in off the bench play so well. Walker, Williams, and Gwynn.
Calhoun was bending down talking to his point man, Tate George, who he took out for a few moments. The big men doing an excellent job of getting the ball across that timeline for Syracuse.
Good ball fake by Billy Owens.
Thompson inside. Off the miss. Smith will come back. Great pass to Gwynn. Left-handed.
Nobody back.
Innefeld got there. Slowed it up enough. And Thompson was fouled, and he will come up to the free throw line, and that could be number 3 on Burrell. Is that who was assessed that personal? Yes. That is 3 on Burrell, and that hurts Connecticut early.
So we are playing with 6, so he may be able to stay in a little bit. But, Brent, you can see in this type of pace game how the Syracuse players' whole attitude changes as opposed to watching them play against the likes of a Villanova.
That's LeRon Ellis leaving. You saw Richard Manning come in. Now Dave Johnson also checks into the game. And Edwards sits down next to Bernie Fine, one of the assistant coaches. And now the Huskies also go to their bench, and Murray Williams, the 6'6" junior forward, out onto the floor. How about the UConn depth? How good is that?
Well, this ball club really has a 10 to 12-man squad. Jim Calhoun doesn't mind using them. They all get a lot of minutes, and they distribute their statistics extremely well. So he's not afraid to go to that bench. Yesterday they were excellent. Walker, Gwynn, and Williams all in there now, so only 2 starters still on the floor.
18-8. It's a 10-point Syracuse lead. Missing the layup. Syracuse coming back on the attack.
A little confusion on defense. They've gone man-to-man, and Jimmy Boeheim doesn't think Connecticut can play his club man-to-man.
Smith, extremely talented out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. One of the best players in that state and the entire New England region. Number 13, he's only a sophomore. He'll remind you some of Maurice Cheeks as he matures. Gwynn hit another one left-handed for him. 18-10 on the inside, so Gwynn comes off the bench with 2 field goals, Billy.
That's not unusual. He averages double figures and only plays a little over 16 minutes a game. Now they go back to the 2-3 zone.
Deep, they've turned it over again. That's the 7th turnover by Syracuse.
Innefeld with a jumper.
Does not shot well in the garden, so he puts it on the floor and drives in for the layup. The mark of a good basketball player. The outside shot has not been falling for him so far.
Well, I like the way, though, Connecticut sets their men up when they get the break. They're standing beyond that 3-point line.
Deep to Johnson. So Owens with the pass. Johnson with his first field goal. And it's 20-12 Syracuse.
Billy Owens with almost a 2-to-1 ratio for his assist-turnover ratio.
Smith putting it down, fouled by Johnson.
140 assists for Billy Owens on the year. Just perfect timing.
I'm out in the garden.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask those of you who are standing.
In Paris, they lined up in the streets. In Rome, it was standing room only. In L.A. and New York, his concerts sold out in an hour. So if you want to see Paul McCartney and his new band, get in line early and get out your Visa card. Because a concert like this doesn't take place every day, and it doesn't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Very soon, the time will come for the next generation of America's best-selling full-size car, the 1991 Chevrolet Caprice. Prepare to be impressed.
It's a change in the air. The chills, they don't stop. Feeling the cold of the temperature drop.
Diet 7-Up with NutraSweet. Even more 7-Up taste in an icy new can.
The new taste of cold go on, break the ice.
Our bike business had never been better. So one day we just looked at each other and knew it was time to go public.
Your auditor gives us an accurate picture of your capital needs.
When are we gonna hear?
It takes time. Off to New York, guys.
The moment of truth. The announcement of the 64 tournament teams. The selection show. Today.
Here in Madison Square Garden, a lot of proud parents. Scott Burrell has an awfully proud mother and father here today. Let's go to James Brown.
All right, Brennan, with Sam Burrell. And Brent, you know, with so much talk about the imbalance between academics and athletics, Sam Burrell is a refreshing departure. Your son, Major League Baseball prospect, offered $200,000 by the Seattle Mariners. Why didn't he take it?
Well, it wasn't quite 200, but we thought going to college at this time was the best thing for him to do. There's certain things that you can't recapture in life, and one is a college education at this particular time. So baseball's on the back burner, and eventually we hope he'll get into baseball. But right now, we're concentrating on college and an education in basketball.
And as we go back to Brent, the best athlete in the family may be his daughter, who went to Yale and graduated. Now she's a professor in the school system in Connecticut. Let's go back to Brent.
Thank you, JB. And such a nice message, really, to pass along to a lot of youngsters that what we overlook sometimes in talking about points scored and rebounds is that there is an education these young men should be trying to get in all of these schools. And Scott Burrell, one of the great all-around athletes up in Connecticut, could have been an outstanding quarterback. His brother was one of the tri-captains. Manning has his shot blocked and comes back with it beautifully for Syracuse.
Now, both coaches going to that bench extensively. With Syracuse only 2 starters on the floor. Hopkins and Manning, who don't see usually this much playing time early on. Johnson, a better defender than is Edwards, so he's playing smooth.
Coleman pulling away, still another rebound and inching closer to Ralph Sampson's record. That's 2 rebounds here in the early going. He had 23 yesterday against Villanova, which was a tournament record and tied the overall record for a single game. Billy Owens, who, if he stays in school, will someday hold all the scoring records at Syracuse. He's the first sophomore for the Orange to score more than 1,000 points. Very smooth, makes it 25-14.
And Brent, when Billy Owens hits that jumper, it really opens things up for the Syracuse half-court offense. The only games they've played poorly is when Billy really just doesn't get that jump shot going and teams pack it in on him.
Jump pass and not a good one, but got away from Coleman, and Walker scored, and Coleman picked up the foul. Michigan State. What a remarkable story they are. And when the seedings come out tonight at 6:30, we can speculate that perhaps the Spartans will wind up with the #1 seed. But let's take a look at that replay, Billy.
Well, Gwynn fired the ball in, tough to handle. Derek Coleman had it, went right through his legs. Walker, with that tremendous physique of his, is able to go right up. Coleman does the only thing he could is extend his hands and hope that Walker might miss it.
We finally found Derek's weakness, the one hopper to his legs.
I think Derek was just surprised the ball was thrown to him.
25-17. It was 10-0 before Connecticut scored. And he missed underneath.
Walker doing it again today, Brent.
He's a force on the inside. Gwynn under pressure. Drew the foul. Second on Johnson. That was great body control. He was sealed off by the trees underneath.
Sensational. It reminded me of Michael Adams a little bit. Remember the BC scorer is doing so well in the pros now. Watch this move. They had it blocked twice. And that's why he is such a great offensive performer. Just tough to stop him. Shooting 70% from the free throw line, over 10 points a game, and as I said, averaging just that 17 minutes a game. That's putting some points on the board.
Billy Hughes certainly fingered the right sub for Connecticut today. John Gwynn with 6 points, 3 of 4 from the field on the line. He's junior guard for the Huskies.
For Connecticut, number 23, Lyman DePriest is in the game.
Lyman DePriest, 6'5" junior. You will hear junior, sophomore, freshman a lot with this Connecticut team. The only senior is Tate George from Newark. So this is a team of the future as well as the present.
You know, Gwynn, the first player from the legendary DeMatha to sign in the Big East, which is very unusual. So that's James Brown's alma mater. A young man doing extremely well out here.
Thompson swinging three, but he traveled.
I have a sense right now with this lineup on the floor, Owens out now and Stevie Thompson back in, Connecticut can make a run. Syracuse doesn't match up quite as well when they get out of that starting lineup. Connecticut's bench seems to be a little bit more flexible right now.
Williams with an errant pass that time was a bit out of control and sort of just threw it aside. So here in Madison Square Garden with James Brown and Billy Packer, I'm Brent Musburger. Welcome to the Big East Championship. 9:06 to go in the first half. Syracuse, which led 10-0, now struggling a bit. They lead it, though, 25-19. Stolen. George for the lay-in.
What happened to Edwards? He thought he could beat one man, which he did, but he didn't realize he was going to be trapped after he put it on the floor.
That's what Connecticut does as well as any team in the country. Now George commits the personal foul, but they can steal the basketball. Man, they have set a single game and season steals. They had 17 in that victory over Seton Hall in the quarterfinals.
Brett, one of the things that Jim Calhoun cannot afford today is a quick whistle on the hand checks, because they're going to double team a lot, and he's working the officials right now.
And they're in the one-on-one, Billy, at 8:44. So Syracuse will come up to the line now.
Well, you talk about stats, Brent. I'll throw one out at you. Connecticut is 8th in the Big East in field goal shooting percentage, only 42 a game, and they're 8th in rebounding, and yet they're first in the league, tied for first in the league and in the championship. I mean, that would be incomprehensible to say, well, where did the points come from? And where they come from is they make you turn the ball over.
Thompson batted back out of bounds by Cirillo.
And give an assist to Billy Owens. So much now is happening on those missed free throws. There's Smith back in.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we request
got a block out on that free throw line.
The Big East has indicated that the game will be suspended.
An announcement being made to the UConn fans here behind this goal to sit down, or they're going to suspend the game. I don't think I've ever heard that announcement at a college basketball game. Owens. Thompson. Nice putback off an offensive rebound. He plays much taller than he is.
He sure does. That's nothing new to watch him do that over his career, which has been an outstanding one at Syracuse. A lot of people thought that if he didn't move the guard, he'd never play college basketball, but that hasn't been the case. They set that big, high, solid screen. Edwards has had trouble with it all day.
Hinnefeld with a run. Tap back and in by Connecticut, and the field goal will go to
DePriest, his first.
Known primarily for his defensive work, but he and Cyrillic really challenged the boards that time.
They go to the trap. Quickly they hit Johnson underneath, and Cyrillic takes the foul.
Again, Brent, we talked about finishing it off against the press. Johnson, another one who can come off the bench and do as well. Johnson wearing his pants kind of like all the Syracuse guys do in practice, and he better be real careful here because he's in public. If his shirt wasn't hanging out, he'd have a real problem.
Serena Walker is backing for the Huskies, replacing James Cyrillic.
I guess it's okay during free throws to stand up. They're not going to suspend the game, but it's during game action.
What is it, Texas A&M football fans never sit down? Brent, you've been down there, haven't you?
Never do sit down. Don't bring the Aggies to the Garden for basketball.
Timeout.
So at the 7:31 mark here in the Garden, we've got a timeout. 29-23, Syracuse with a 6-point lead.
The madness is coming in March.
It's Monday morning in Ford County.
That full-size Chevy pickup sure has a more advanced design than Ford.
Now that you mention it, the lines do remind me of modern neoclassic sculpture.
I see a lot of Bauhaus influence.
The understated simplicity even contributes to greater fuel efficiency.
Form follows function. High fuel efficiency. No wonder people from Ford prefer Chevy trucks. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. Today's truck is Chevrolet.
So your little brother's joining us, huh?
He's not so little anymore.
All right, now let's move it!
He's what, 19?
Weight setting, 540, F-14.
Jeff's landing planes?
4-gear lens set.
No. $40 million jets.
Today's Navy. High-tech training that takes you only one way. Full speed ahead.
Primary's off.
Good job, guys.
You and the Navy.
Jeff?
See?
He's not so little anymore.
Full speed ahead.
Gillette announces a razor that can sense the individual needs of your face.
Gillette, the best of men can get.
Introducing the extraordinary Gillette Sensor Shaving System. Sensor blades are mounted on responsive springs to continuously sense and adjust to your face for the best shave a man can get. Closer, smoother, safer. New Gillette Sensor.
Gillette, the best of men can get.
Welcome back to Madison Square Garden. We're in the first half of the Big East Championship game with Syracuse leading Connecticut 29-23. From the field, UConn has picked it up dramatically in the second half of the first half. Syracuse broke out to a 10-point lead, but since then, the Huskies, using their bench very well, have battled their way back into this game. Find themselves down by 6, and with the ball, George bringing it up.
And Georgia Tech wins the championship. Bobby Crimmins, New Yorker, doing well in the South.
A team that seems to be peaking at NCAA tournament time. We'll see where the Ramblin' Wreck will be assigned at 6:30 tonight. Figured to be one of the 16 seeds now, having won the ACC tournament championship.
Brent, like Connecticut, they're a club that can go to their home grounds and play in Atlanta. Connecticut go to Hartford.
It goes off of Johnson's hands and in, and we'll give that one to DePriest.
That's his second offensive tap, going to the boards well. It's amazing the play off the bench for Jim Calhoun's team. They've been doing it all year and certainly haven't let him down here in the Garden. That press is picking up.
Off Ellis, out of bounds.
Hennefeld still has the good-looking shot. It's just not falling for him. But there's DePriest, that time with the left hand. Taps it in before he got it with the right hand. Really going to the boards well. Perfect tapping.
No, I think Johnson never touched it. I said it was off his hands. It was not DePriest reach in. Just to follow up, Billy, on what you've been talking about. 16 points off the Connecticut bench here in the first half.
And when you look down their stats on the year, Jim Calhoun has gone to that bench. He gives them a lot of minutes, and the fellows have produced.
George with the running. It's a 2-point game. Connecticut was down by 10, and Hennefeld takes the foul. His second
time in this game that Hennefeld has played the safety man. This time he gets called for the foul.
That's his second personal.
Brent, a good technique for a guy like Hennefeld on that play is not to go for the ball, get back on the man, and then go for the ball.
Calhoun telling you what he thought about the call.
That's right.
7 points for Stevie already and 5 rebounds. Smith brings away the missed free throw.
Chance to tie or go ahead when they were down by a bunch.
And a short that time into the hands of Coleman, who will put it on the floor and break it himself. They got a hand on it. George deflected it. Out now to DePriest. It's a 3-on-2 break. Here's Walker, and the game is tied at the 5:47 mark. After being down by 10 early, the Huskies have battled back into it. Owens on the dribble is fouled, and that on Walker is his first.
Brett, one of the things the Syracuse players are not doing, when they beat a man, they need to hit the first free man they see instead of having that one or two extra dribbles. It happened to Edwards just a few minutes ago and almost happened to Billy Owens there, as the guys are coming in behind him.
Walker do it at the free throw line, missing the front end.
What's new?
Now UConn can take the lead here at the 5.5-minute mark, first half.
They can take the lead and haven't made a jump shot all day.
Oh, what a brilliant move by Smith. Wouldn't stay down, and underneath Walker is fouled. Coleman coming over, picks up his second.
The Syracuse foul is charged to Jared Coleman. That's his second personal.
The pairs competition in the World Figure Skating Championships will be coming your way next on our countdown to the Albertville Winter Olympics, and then the countdown to Denver in the Final Four at 6:30. Today we'll find out who the top seeds will be. If Connecticut wins this game, the consensus opinion here is that they will wind up with a top seed. If they lose it, it doesn't seem likely. If Syracuse loses it, there seems to be at least an outside chance, judging from what happened at the Big 8 Conference tournament. But all the mysteries and speculations will be cleared up at 6:30 tonight. Now Connecticut with its first lead in the game.
Brent Walker, a 40% free throw shooter who has only been averaging 7 minutes a game, is playing in the Big East like he's an all-conference performer.
Billy off the bench today, 8 points. Wynn has 8 points off the bench, and DePriest 2 field goals. The bench has put the Huskies back into the lead of this game.
And they're playing man-to-man now. They're matching up pretty well. DePriest, their best defender on Owens. Hennefeld on Coleman.
Baseline. Offensive foul.
Sensational offensive move by Billy Owens to make the reverse, but Tate George and not many zone teams have the capacity to move their feet as quickly as Connecticut does, and so even when they go to man-to-man, they still get weak side help.
Williams checking back into the lineup. Breakdown of the scoring.
Spread things out, not in a delay, but just to get organized in their half-court offense. Beautiful.
Pass to George underneath. DePriest picked him up beautifully.
A back pick on Edwards, who really has problems defensively against a guy like Tate George.
Edwards missing the 3, long rebound, out of bounds, Connecticut ball. Jim Boeheim will use a timeout.
We go above and beyond just like you, above and beyond what we have to do, caring for what's special.
special to you.
I'm a Prudential representative, and what's really important to me when I go into someone's home is to help them save money on their homeowner's insurance. Because I know I'm a homeowner too.
Taking care to protect what's important to you. The Rock, the Prudential, above and beyond.
Saturday morning in Ford County.
I see you got a new Chevy. Yep. That's a pretty smart buy when you amortize the cost of depreciation as it relates to inflation in the GNP. Yep. In fact, when compared with Ford Ranger, Chevy S10 has held more of its value model years 1984 through 88.
Yep, and they say they've been worth more when you trade them in, too.
A tradition of higher resale value. No wonder people from Ford prefer Chevy trucks. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America.
Yep.
Good times roll with the clean, fresh taste of Bud Light. It won't fill you up, never lets you down.
On our way back to the Garden, Jim Nance in our Uptown studio. The ACC has crowned its tournament champion. You heard it. Georgia Tech gets the automatic NCAA bid. This was the scene of celebration in Charlotte. Oh, there was one scary moment for the Yellow Jackets. Brian Oliver went out with a bruised foot, but did return and is expected to be fine for the tournament. Coming up at halftime, we'll be going out to Kansas City for the live announcement of the pairings for the NCAA women's tournament. But right now, let's go back to Brent and Billy at courtside. Brent, how about the Yellow Jackets from Georgia Tech?
Ramblin' wreck, Jimmy. They're coming along at the right time, and so too is UConn. A team of runs, 12-1 here today, and in putting away Seton Hall and Georgetown, they did the same thing.
Notice how they send the guards through and then back out again. And Edwards has had real problems when Tate George goes through, comes back out, and then doubles back and gets that pass. Syracuse in the man-to-man, things wide open inside.
Taking time off the clock here.
And not for delay as much to get the shot they want. And there it is.
Walker having a career day. More points than he's ever scored, and he has picked the Big East championship game to do it. A total of 10 now in the first half off the bench for UConn. Reach over by DePriest, his first.
Brett, the problem right now Syracuse is having, and Derek Coleman is doing a little bit what Alonzo Mourning did yesterday, and the fact that he's spending so much time bringing the ball up, Syracuse doesn't get into their half-court offense. A lot of that obviously dictated by the great Connecticut defense.
Richard Manning at the line, 1-1.
Very weak on the front end of a 1-and-1, but Billy Owens cleaned up and put back his 8th point of the day.
Second time today we've seen Syracuse battle on a missed free throw. That one coming up successfully with points. Good hands by Williams.
George out on top. The lone senior directing traffic here for the Huskies. DePriest has it knocked away and out of bounds. It was off his foot, and it'll go over to Syracuse. And that's Hinnefeld back in for Connecticut. Johnson will replace Manning for Syracuse.
Replacing Wyman DePriest.
DePriest did his job. Excellent defense while he was in there. Despite that turnover, he didn't come out because of the turnover. He came out because he's ready to get
Thompson breaks deep behind Walker. Missed the shot.
How about that quickness by Williams to help out?
Smith bangs in the three. Now Thompson breaks deep again.
Brent, if you send your guards deep, and nobody's back for floor balance, that'll occasionally happen. A good look by Billy Owens and Stevie Thompson as well. I think Edwards has to play Tate George a little tougher out front because it allows Tate to set up the offense too easily.
Smith gets it back into Williams' hands. He's out of control. Offensive foul.
offensive foul charged to Murray Williams of Connecticut. That's his first.
2:05 to go in the first half. Connecticut's 38, Syracuse 33.
Walker almost, great anticipation, almost with another steal. There it is.
NFL alone, looking for help. The runner. And for Smith, 8 points.
And you saw where Smith was set up when Hennefield had the ball outside the three-point line.
Johnson trying to get it off, and another turnover. And it's a 3-on-2 for UConn. George off the fake, goes to Williams, gets it back. Rebound, Walker.
They're fun to watch.
Williams.
Brent, I would say Walker's production is going to fall off. He's not used to playing this many straight minutes. He's going to get real tired here shortly. And I think Jim Calhoun will probably go to that bench and get him out of there. He is really breathing hard.
Well, he's inside of a minute, Billy, till the intermission.
Good point. But he is exhausted. He's asking to come out right now. And nobody, there he is, he's coming out. He can't breathe. But boy, did he give a performance. 10 points, 4 rebounds. A man that only averages 7 minutes a game normally.
Out of Orlando, Florida.
Jimmy Calhoun ignored him, but one of the assistants said, get him out of here before he dies.
Owens, blocked by Cyrillic, and the foul is against Coleman, his third.
Billy Owens did everything he could do. He beat Hennefeld, then he tried to alter the shot. Cyrillic with quick feet moved out there for the block. It's been a sensational half defensively for Connecticut. We just can't play any better. You know, before, when the year started early, John Wooden said he enjoyed watching Kansas play more than any team in the country because of their intricate half-court offense. But, you know, if he'd watched this club, I think he would like them a lot, too, in the way that they run this defense. It's just something to behold. George, a solid free thrower at 70%. Career record holder in steals and assists and games played for Connecticut. Had a great career.
It's a 19-point turnaround in this game. Connecticut has gone from 10 down to up 9, 42-33.
Shot clock off. Edwards, who's been quiet but is hot with the three, would be a good guy to penetrate and dump it back out to him and let him take the three.
Johnson. Connecticut's ball off George's hands and out of bounds. 4.5 seconds for Syracuse. Plenty of time to get a good shot.
And if Tate George could have had that, he had a 3-on-0 fast break in the other direction. There's the man.
And by Thompson score it. 42-35 on that field goal and the buzzer by Stevie Thompson.
Now, Brent, I think they got the ball to the right guy to put this up. Edwards has been hot from the three-point line. Just a great tap-in by Stevie Thompson, who was the right place at the right time, because the block out was certainly there. Cyrillic just couldn't get back in time.
They give you the storyline of the first half. Down by 10, Connecticut gets 22 points off its bench. And so they'll take a 42-35 lead into the locker room. And we'll be back with the road to the Final Four after this message and a word from your local station.
Yo, Mars Blackman here, my main man, Michael Jordan, and Professor Douglas Kirkpatrick of the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. Yo, Professor, how does Mike defy gravity? Do you know?
Michael Jordan overcomes the acceleration of gravity by the application of his muscle power in the vertical plane, thus producing a low-altitude Earth orbit.
Oh, what?
Do you know what I mean? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know?
Money, check him out.
The purest shape ever given to a high-performance sedan is now even purer. There is now soft glove leather upholstery and rich new wood paneling. For 1990, the designers have made the 300E the most elegant sedan in its class. But let Mercedes-Benz reassure you, it is still engineered like no other car in the world.
My career is in tatters. My marriage is hanging by a thread.
A rival author has poisonous plans for
Sweet as apple pie, Jessica Fletcher.
Murder, She Wrote. Then, can you pick America's favorites in movies, television, and music? Valerie Harper, Fred Savage, and Barbara Mandrell host the People's Choice Awards live tonight.
This is CBS.
They've served in war and in peace. Yet only one company saw the need to protect the lives and families of those who protect ours. So Mutual of New York became the first to insure our military. It's that kind of innovative thinking that's provided 146 years of uninterrupted dividends for the present and annuities and pensions for the future of a new generation of soldiers and sailors, doctors.
Mutual of New York. Money for life.
If you're looking for a sporty family sedan, you could spend $11,710 for a Nissan Stanza XE or $11,853 for a Toyota Camry. But for only $10,646, you could get a German-engineered Volkswagen Jetta with front-wheel drive, fuel-injected engine, height-adjustable steering, and something the other cars can't provide. A satisfying driving experience called Fahrvergnügen. It's what makes a car a Volkswagen.
Your child TV stars, where are they now? Next, Geraldo.
Well, the Connecticut bench has outscored the Syracuse bench 22-6 in the first half, and Connecticut, trailing 10-0 early, has the lead at Madison Square Garden. I'm Jim Nantz in New York. Welcome back to the road to the Final Four. Let's talk about a few scores. In the ACC championship game, Georgia Tech won it, its first win in the tournament, in the ACC tournament since 1985 when they won the ACC championship. That threatening threesome of Dennis Scott, Kenny Anderson, Brian Oliver combined for 53 of 70 points. 10 minutes to go, Indiana and Illinois, and it's a 5-point lead for the Illini in that one. Michigan State claimed the Big Ten championship today with a victory over Purdue, 10th straight win for the Spartans. And the MAC winner, Ball State, and for the second straight year, the MVP of the tournament, Billy Butts. He had 19 points for Ball State in its victory, and they're going on to the field of 64. A reminder that coming up at a special time, 6:30 Eastern, we'll have live coverage of the NCAA men's tournament selection as it unfolds from Kansas City. But the road to Denver isn't the only highway we're traveling here on CBS Sports. We're also on the road to Knoxville, site of the women's NCAA Final Four. And right now they are about to announce the selections for the 48-team women's field. So let's go out live to Kansas City and join our man there, Tim Brandt. Tim?
All right, Jim, thank you very much, and welcome to the Hyatt Regency Hotel, our studio headquarters in Kansas City, where the women's tournament field is now complete. And good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tim Brandt, joined now by Judy Holland, the chairperson for the tournament committee. And let me tell you right up front that the women's committee, unlike the men's or the women's tournament, has only 48 teams, so there are some first-round buys. And Judy, as I turn to you, congratulations, because I understand this year's tournament has already broken ticket sales. It's a record set there, and because of the arena size, the women may outdraw the men at the Final Four this year. That's kudos to you.
Well, it's been a great year for us in women's basketball, and Tennessee has done a great job at selling the tickets, but we're looking forward to a great Final Four.
All right, let's go to the boards then, and let's take a look at who's in and who's not, and we'll start in the East. The #1 seed in the East is Tennessee. The Lady Vols won it all last year. Coach Pat Summitt has been to the Final Four 6 times, won twice. This year's title game is being played in Knoxville. Tennessee will play the winner of Old Dominion St. Joe's game. Connecticut, the #4 seed, set a school record like the men with 25 wins. Great year in stores basketball-wise. And UConn will play the winner of the Clemson-Manhattan game. Continuing in the East, Providence is the #3 seed. The Friars will go against the winner of the Maryland-Appalachian State game. The Lady Terrapins went to the Final Four last year, led by Olympian Vicki Bullitt. Florida State and Penn State play for the right to go against Virginia, the Atlantic Coast Conference champion. Penn State, the higher-seeded team, but the game is in Tallahassee. So we'll ask Judy about that in just a minute. Now, in the West, the #1 seed is Stanford. Up-tempo style. Many think Stanford could win it all. With Jennifer Azzi, All-American, she could be the best player in the country. The Cardinal will play the winner of the Montana-Hawaii game. Hawaii's with the best nickname in the tournament this year, the Rainbow Wahinis. The #4 seed, UNLV, with a 27-2 record. UNLV will play the winner of the Ole Miss-Utah game. Both have 20-9 records. The rest of the West, Stephen F. Austin has a bye. The Lady Jacks await the winner of the Long Beach State-California matchup. Georgia, the 2nd seed. Georgia's been in the tournament 9 straight years and will play the winner of the UCLA-Arkansas game. The Mid-East bracket, the top seed goes to Washington. The Huskies split with Stanford this year. The Cardinal only loss. Washington goes against the winner of the Western Kentucky-DePaul game. 4th-seeded Northwestern plays the winner of the South Carolina-Bowling Green matchup. Continuing in the Mid-East, #3 Iowa. Congratulations to Vivian Stringer and her club. The 5th straight tournament appearance will play the winner of the Vanderbilt-Rutgers first rounder. And the #2 seed in the Mid-East is Joe Champy's Auburn Lady Tigers. 2nd or 2-time runner-up, played in the title 2 straight years. Maybe 3 is the charm for Joe. Auburn will play the Richmond Tennessee Tech winner. And finally, the Midwest. Louisiana Tech, the top seed, 29-0, only undefeated team in the tournament. The Lady Techsters will wait for the winner of the Southern Miss LSU game. So congratulations to those clubs. The #4 seed is Purdue to play either Texas Tech, a 12th seed, or Northern Illinois, #5 seed. Texas is back, the 8th trip to the NCAA tournament. Congratulations to Jody Conrad's club. How about Jody's record? Well over 550 wins. The Lady Longhorns will play the winner of the Ohio State-Southern Illinois game. And finally, the #2 seed in the Midwest is Ken K. Yao's NC State club. State plays the winner of the first-round game between Michigan and Oklahoma State. So a couple of quick summary notes. Georgia, Long Beach State, Louisiana Tech, Ole Miss, and Tennessee have been to the tournament every single year, all 9 years. Appalachian State, Cal, DePaul, Michigan, Northern Illinois, and Richmond make their first appearance ever. Florida State, #10 seed, hosting the higher-seeded Lady Lions of Penn State. How did that happen?
Just happened to be a facility problem, and there was a conflict, and they couldn't get the facility for practices, so it had to go to the higher seed.
Let's talk about the balance. There seems to be more balance this year, although there's no question about the Southeast Conference still extremely strong.
They're very strong. The ACC is strong. We had an emerging conference this year, the Pacific 10 got very strong. I think this year, more than any other year, we had more trouble picking the top 8 than we've ever had before, and I think that's just portends good things for women's basketball.
Judy, California with a 17-11 record, was that a surprise?
Probably to them it's a surprise. To the committee, they seemed a strong team coming out of a very good conference, and they played well in the last few weeks, so we thought they deserved to be in.
And finally, the last question. Unlike the men, it's obvious that the women's team can play on its home court. Perfect example of that will be down in Tennessee at Knoxville.
Right. Finals are at Tennessee this year. First and second rounds are always played on home floors. Regionals are pre-signed, but if you're in the tournament, you'll probably be set to that regional. So home floors are important to us.
All right, I will see you April 1st for the Women's National Championship game down in Knoxville. Thank you very much. Congratulations on a nice field.
Thank you.
All right, before we go back to Jim Nance, just a reminder, coming up later this afternoon, 6:30 Eastern Time, we'll have the 64-team field for the men. And that is just about complete. We're waiting now for the committee to put the last 5 or 6 teams together. One of those games, one of those teams, probably the #1 seed, will come out of the game you're watching now with Syracuse and the University of Connecticut. Right now, let's take you back to New York. Jim Nance. Jim?
All right, Tim. We'll look forward to joining you in about 3 hours for that live announcement of the men's field. NBA scores today. The Lakers over Atlanta. Magic had 32 points, 12 assists, and Boston won with 8 seconds to go. Joe Klein with the bucket. Larry Bird had 41 for the Celtics in their victory. All right, stay with us on Selection Sunday. I'm Jim Nance in New York. We'll pick up the second half as Connecticut takes on Syracuse and leads at this moment by 7 right after this.
At 1,184,880 miles, a Mercedes-Benz 180D is in the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's most durable car. Just how far can a Mercedes actually go? Frankly, nobody knows.
Mommy, why do you have to travel so much?
That's my job, honey. I mean, that's how we get the things we need and get to live in a big house.
One day it could all come down to a few inches. For those few inches, it's good to know you have Goodyear tires.
We could get a smaller house.
Thank you, darling.
That's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
Hey, little guy, you're beginning to look a lot like your daddy. Pretty soon you're gonna be growing hair. I'm starting to lose mine, so I just did something lots of us big guys are doing. I went to the doctor. He said there are things that can help. Hey, just because we start out bald doesn't mean we have to end up that way.
Doctors have treatment programs that work. So see your doctor or call this number.
Visa honors America's Olympians, like Charles Smith of Georgetown University and Marty Glickman of Syracuse University. Today, collegiate athletes are in training for the '92 Olympics, and Visa will donate $1,000 to each of these universities and $1,000 to the 1992 U.S. Olympic team for their efforts in the development of our future U.S. Olympians.
Welcome back to Madison Square Garden with Billy Packer. I'm Brent Musburger, and Billy, again, Connecticut doing with their defense, especially the steals.
They really do. They turn the ball over so much, it's hard for me to conceive that Syracuse was able to go with only 6 turnovers in their game against Connecticut. The way they come after you, it's so tough. And there you can see turnover points.
Then off the bench, one of the key things, Connecticut with 22 points. Walker leading the way for them, scoring a career-high 10 points. Stevie Thompson led the way for Syracuse with 11. Tate George, the starting point guard, also scored 10 for UConn. And we'll continue after this message and a word from your local station.
Mazda isn't shouting about its spring sales event. Not with values like this 626, with more room and a better basic warranty than Honda Accord. It's priced $966 less. And now get $1,000 cash back plus air or automatic at no extra charge. With up to $1,810 in value, we don't have to show you. But maybe we want to.
At your local Mazda dealers now.
The key is the pump.
I'm be able to pump myself up. I don't know the mechanics of it. Push this in as many times as you want. Tights around your ankle.
Felt like a tailor-made fit.
When you want to release, it's a little button back here.
Press it and air releases.
I think somebody might sneak up behind me, push my release button, let all my air out.
Some people like BMWs. I like gym shoes.
Pump it up.
This is CBS.
When issues of agility and precision take on special urgency, we recommend the BMW 5 Series. Its unparalleled defense system is designed to help you emerge unscathed from a hostile world. If it rolls, runs, floats, flies, walks, or crawls, flexible funding from the CIT Group can get it moving.
Today's game sponsored locally in part by your tri-state BMW dealers.
Athletes competing in 18 championship sports.
CBS Sports coverage of today's Big East Championship game is sponsored by Mass Mutual. At Mass Mutual, we help you keep your promises. The United States Postal Service, we deliver for you. And by Mazda Cars and Trucks. Mazda, it just feels right.
Well, here in the Garden in New York City, Connecticut leading 42-35. Jim Calhoun in his 4th year at Connecticut. He's the true marathon man. While he was up at Northeastern for 14 years, 5 times he ran the Boston Marathon. 4 times he has run in the New York City Marathon. He told us that up in Boston, that's a runner's marathon. And here in New York, he said that's a people's marathon. But to give you an idea of how hard he's been working up in stores, he's not run a single marathon since he took that job 4 years ago. Now a chance to win his first Big East championship and the first ever for the school.
Brent, he's a pretty big guy. I have to ask you a question on that. Did he ever finish one? You know, I can run in one. Did he finish?
He was definitely not the Rosie Ruiz of the men's marathon. Just take my word for it, Mr. Packer. And there's another steal by George. Burrell struggled in the first half, loses the handle underneath.
Burrell, who was our player of the game yesterday, only played 7 minutes and did not score in the first half, showing you how well Walker, DePriest, and Williams did off that bench.
Owens is fouled by Walker, and our producer, Bob Dekas, has reminded me of a remarkable stat involving UConn. When leading at the half this year, they are 26-0.
That's still not as good as the one I'm saving up, Brent, to tell you today.
You're saving one?
The most incredible stat in the history of sport.
In the history?
In the history of sport.
Well, now you have piqued our interest, Professor.
2-3 zone, still going for Connecticut and being played so well.
Ellis missing outside. Rocket rebound. Burrell went up strongly. Now it is Smith looking for his rhythm, and he hits a 3 here. And it's a 10-point Connecticut lead. That is a 20-point swing from early in the game when Syracuse led it by 10.
Syracuse got to figure out a way to get Derek Coleman with the ball. Good push off by Coleman that time. Does he get away with it? Coleman pushed Hennefeld off to even get that ball, and I think that Hennefeld gets caught second. You'll see it right here. Derek Coleman will push off. There's the push off, and he gets the rebound.
That's the 3rd on Hennefeld.
Syracuse have to figure out a way to get Derek the ball in scoring position. He's been spending a lot of time today distributing the ball from way outside.
They have sent Scott out of the floor, Tony Scott. He's a zone buster from deep, and he puts it right up and bangs in a 3. I was surprised we didn't see more of him in the first half as Burrell against Coleman was intimidated by his presence, missed the shot. Owens off. It's 3-on-2.
Beautiful pass.
Hobson to finish. So just like that, a 10-point lead was cut in half.
See, by Edwards backing off Tate George, it allows UConn to set up exactly what they want in their half court. You got to have more pressure on the ball. He plays right over it.
That's 12 points for the game.
Edwards cannot handle Tate George. He just plays right over the top of it.
Scott again, missing. This time underneath was Coleman, but there was a whistle, and he was pushed on the inside.
I think it's going to be against Stevie Thompson pushing Hennefeld out to make room for Derek Coleman to get that rebound.
That's his first and the team's first.
Ball State qualifying again for the NCAA as Johnson checks back in for Syracuse.
That's a move that Jimmy Boeheim knew he'd have to make, and that is to get a little bit more size on Tate George. And now you can see what he's done. He's put Stevie Thompson, his best defender, out on George. Now Johnson switches with him. Get a little bit more size. Tough to match up with a 6'5" guard that can really handle.
George, beautiful penetrating move by George. Coleman coming right back for the Orangemen. Scott has not been bashful. A left-handed runner. That's what they want him to do off the bench. Walker, and it's rejected by Scott into the hands of Thompson. And Connecticut wanted goaltending. Thompson traveled.
Tony Scott in the last 10 days or so has really changed as far as the way he comes into the game. This fella, we know, has the stroke to shoot, and that was a sensational leaping block. Great spacing on the half-court offense by Connecticut.
Connecticut leading it 49-42, 16:30 left in regulation. Big East Championship on the line here in Madison Square Garden. Both these teams will be in the field of 64. Back pass on the inside to Smith, who comes up with the jumper. Coleman brings it down. Deflected by Hennefeld. He tried to tap it to Smith and could not. Now it's Johnson down the baseline, and he was fouled by Walker. That's the third on Torino Walker.
And Brent, to put Hennefeld's last slap away there, had he made that steal, that would have been for him on the year 131, which would have tied him with Mookie Blaylock as the all-time NCAA assist leader for a single season, which is hard to comprehend. A man his size doing it when you think of how quick Mookie was.
Roman was fouled. Now that was Walker, Billy. Let me correct that previous one. They have straightened that out, that it was George's third, and now it's 3 on Walker. So just to set the record straight on the fouls. We've got a timeout. We've got 16 minutes remaining. It's 49-42, UConn.
The madness is coming in March.
Saw you walking home with that same boy yesterday.
Yeah, that's Donald, Dad.
Uh-huh. You two gonna get married?
Daddy, I'm 13 years old.
Oh, then I don't have to worry about giving you away.
No.
Ah.
Mm-mm.
Well, that giving away stuff doesn't really happen anyway.
What do you mean?
Well, even after you marry Donald, we'll always be here for you.
Mass Mutual. We hope you keep your promises.
Mazda won't be shouting about its spring sales event. Why? Just look at this MX-6 GT. Roomier and more powerful than Honda Prelude SI at price $936 less. And now get any MX-6 and get $1,000 cash back, plus air or automatic at no extra charge. With up to $1,810 in value, you don't have to shout. Well, maybe just a little.
At your local Mazda dealers now.
Express mail from your post office offers you guaranteed morning delivery.
We deliver, we deliver.
Saturday service at no extra charge.
We deliver, we deliver.
And an overnight price of just $8.75.
We deliver, we deliver.
Speed, convenience, price. It's a package only we can deliver. Express mail from your postal service.
We deliver for you.
Well, at the Garden, Billy, you and I are joined by a record turnout of print journalists who are covering this. 23 papers alone staff every game that Connecticut plays. Vic Siegel, who writes an entertaining column for the New York Daily News, had an anecdote today. His wife said, "Who's going to win the Big East?" And he said, "UConn." And his wife said, "Why is a team from Alaska playing in the Big East?"
They are the Huskies.
That's exactly right.
They are the Huskies. That's a Jimmy Tuxer.
Inbounds pass. Goes deep and out of bounds. And it's Syracuse ball.
Jim Calhoun, pretty good ball handler out there himself.
49-42. Knocked out of bounds by Burrell.
Brent, one of the things that players who play against Connecticut's defense have to understand, you are not going to throw the pass overhead inside because they're so quick off their feet. You need to sit down a little bit and think about throwing some bounce passes underneath those extended arms.
Burrell with the interception.
little Tom Davis at Iowa, Boston College style we got so used to up in this part of the country. The bounce pass will work much more effectively than the over-the-head two-handed chest pass.
Smith taken off by Coleman to Thompson, and Hinnefeld had a hand but couldn't control it. Stevie rolls in.
Connecticut leads 49-44.
Nadav Hinnefeld was second in the country in steals this year, and up at Stores, that prompted someone to give him the nickname the Gaza Strip. But not that time. He couldn't hold on to the ball. UConn coming back on the attack. Burrell out on top with the three, misfiring. Coleman with another rebound, and that's 9 now for Derek.
Need to wait on Derek and let him handle it on this end of the floor a little bit.
Boy, he's got a stroke. His second three-point field goal since coming off the bench. He has fired in 8 points, and he pulls Syracuse to within 2, 49-47. 14 and a half minutes left in regulation.
Well, it was 22-6 in the first half. Bench scoring in favor of Connecticut. Scott changing things around a little bit now. You can see the great spacing here allows anybody who cuts free not to have any defensive help. That's why there needs to be more pressure on the ball. Passers got all day to make a decision.
Thompson fouls Smith, no shot. Before the shot. What a reminder that near the conclusion of this game, we'll select the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game for each team, and Billy, a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund will be made to each school. And you made the point about Connecticut. Yesterday, we honored Scott Burrell, who now leaves and Williams comes in, but here today, it's a different standout.
Syracuse in the zone, out of bounds.
Smith wants it over here on the side.
As poorly as Connecticut shoots, I wonder why more teams don't play them some zone. This is pretty effective right now for Syracuse. They've changed some things around as to what Connecticut was doing.
Syracuse, a very underrated defensive team. Smith missing, and it's run down by Thompson.
That might be bad for Jimmy Boeheim to stay in the zone for a while.
Deflected by Hinnefeld, and he's got it on the steal, and now here is George in the middle. Smith with the lay-in. That's the classic UConn field goal.
And that one gives Nadav that tying steal record with Mookie Blaylock.
The Huskies.
Brent, Syracuse still can't get Derek Coleman in the offense. Remember yesterday in the game, he did not score for the first 14 minutes. Never touched it, and he's not getting the ball now either.
He's scoreless in the second half, though. And Coleman has 5 points for the game.
They need to figure out the next couple of times down the court how to get Derek involved.
And yesterday, Villanova put him on the free throw line. Connecticut has not done that today either.
And Syracuse decides to go back to their aggressive man-to-man.
It's 51-47, Connecticut.
Oh, Smith with a great dribble. Oh, wow. That was against Stevie Thompson, one of the best defenders in the country at his size. Jim Calhoun was right. This young man's going to be the best guard in the league next year.
And did you see what he did defensively? Get Thompson to the sideline.
Coleman's posting up inside. He's got Gwynn down there with him. He can score there.
Coleman battling now for his first field goal in the second half.
That is their answer. Williams, a pretty good one-on-one player. Scott not noted for his defense. That may be the area they could attack a little bit.
Johnson back for the Orange. Here's Coleman again. And he's fouled. He'll shoot a pair of free throws this time. Cyrulik came up with him. And the foul will go instead to Williams, his second. So he was double teamed, and Cyrulik does not pick up the personal. And that's the second on Williams as George comes back into the lineup for Connecticut.
But in the win over Connecticut, Derek Coleman scored 29 points and had 12 rebounds. When you see those kind of stats in a winning cause, you've got to figure out ways to have him heavily involved.
Number 24, Scott Burrell, is back in for the Huskies.
Burrell returning. NFL will sit.
Of course, Gwynn in the ball game known as instant offense took Smith's place. Let's see if he gets the job done in a hurry.
We've got a timeout. Edwards will be in the lineup for Syracuse when you come back.
Tough Mazda trucks, the most trouble-free in America, backed by the best basic truck warranty, bar none. Get yours now, and you'll also get up to $1,000 cash back from Mazda. The Mazda Spring Sales Event. It's not subtle, but it's catchy.
At your local Mazda dealers now.
In Paris, they lined up in the streets. In Rome, it was standing room only. In L.A. and New York, his concerts sold out in an hour. So if you want to see Paul McCartney and his new band, get in line early and get out your Visa card. Because a concert like this doesn't take place every day, and it doesn't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
The cold of an icicle feels so nice as it tickles your tongue with a taste to entice.
Now Diet 7-Up with NutraSweet's got more 7-Up taste in an icy new can.
The new taste of cold. Go on, break the ice.
Now you can get an NCAA mini basketball for only $2.99 with every Pizza Hut pizza you buy. But hurry in, they're going fast. The NCAA mini basketball from Pizza Hut.
Making it great.
This game summary is sponsored by Pizza Hut, an NCAA corporate sponsor. Pizza Hut, making it great.
And here in the Garden, the summary would show that the UConn defense has done the job. The season average, as far as turnovers are concerned for Syracuse, only 13 a game. And already they have turned it over 18 times in this game. It's a 53-51 UConn lead. 11:19 to go. And with Billy Packer, James Brown, I'm Brent Musburger. Glad to have you along with us later in the day, about 6:30 Eastern Time. All the seeds will be revealed on CBS. That's a show that you don't want to miss. It's always a lot of fun.
Gwen has Edwards, and Edwards better put a saddle on it. The parallel playing defense like this is that prevent defense in football allows the quarterback to make the pass any place he wants to.
Cyrulik missed, but George gets it back, and it's a fresh 45 for the Huskies.
Your wide receivers can go anywhere they want to and take all day long. If you don't have pressure on the ball, who's the passer?
This is the kind of game that Pittsburgh played against Syracuse in the opener. They tempoed it. Gwynn got the shooter's bounce. His first field goal of the second half and a total of 10 points. Walker, scoreless in the second half, came off the bench to put in 10 in the first half.
Tate George doing a nice job double teaming.
Gets it to his roommate, and Thompson puts it away.
That was a good move by George, even though he gave up the basket, or Thompson got the basket for the simple reason he knew Coleman wanted to score.
And another roll, this time for George, and it's 16 points for Tate George.
Very smart play by George. As I said, it backfired on him, but he doesn't want Coleman to bust loose here.
they attacked Derek Coleman?
Yeah, you don't want a big guy like this to start getting in a roll. So George trying to help out as best he can. And that left Stevie Thompson wide open.
Syracuse on a roll. They've hit 8 of their last 10 from the field. That's Owens' first field goal of the second half. It's a 57-55 Connecticut lead. 9:23 to go here in regulation in the Garden. By the Huskies.
Syracuse starting to squeeze that vice a little bit on the defensive end. Smith coming back in, needs some scoring.
Walker will also come back in with him. Here is Smith, and you saw Walker there just a moment ago check back in. He was the leader off the Connecticut bench in the first half.
Picking up higher, they go man-to-man now.
Move by Thompson, and the game is tied at the 8:54 mark. 19 points for Stevie Thompson.
Thought he got away with a walk there.
Pittsburgh lost that game, but only by 3 points, 58-55, and might have won it. A little sloppy down the stretch, and now Connecticut playing the tempo game. Thompson's third foul, and that's 3 team fouls, so they still have plenty to give here at the 8:23 mark. Connecticut with 4 team fouls, so neither team over the limit yet. Connecticut went over the limit early in the first half. About 8 minutes to go, they were shooting 1-1. He's got the 3. A chance for a 4-pointer. Gwynn was fouled by Thompson, his 4th.
Stevie can't believe it, and what Gwynn is doing, Brent, his follow-through is so perfect on this jump shot. Young players, watch his wrist on that shot. Sensational follow-through. That's where he got his strength, and that's where he could not be denied by the defender. Boy, that's just great stroke.
Number 23, Micah DePriest is back in for the Huskies.
That's DePriest.
This young man, despite only playing 16 minutes a game, Brent, has 21 of 30 games in double figures this year for his club.
Billy, Connecticut's guards, in the 2 games that we have covered them, have really been impressive as a group.
Without question, and they've got, you know, they're three solid players there at that position, and they're playing man-to-man now. Switch.
Lob by Owens to Coleman. Put it down and bring him to the line.
I have a real hard time staying man-to-man because Burrell just doesn't have a big enough body to play Derek Coleman. And an excellent pass here by Billy Owens, just perfectly thrown.
Billy, you made the point that the man they had to get the ball to was number 44. He was scoreless in the second half. Since you made that observation, Syracuse started doing that. He has scored 6 points, a total of 11 for the game, and he can tie it with this free throw. $7:59 to go. Timeout in the Garden. And our coverage of the Big East Championship will continue after this word from your local station.
The moment of truth. The announcement of the 64 tournament teams. The selection show. Today. This is CBS.
When do you drink America's favorite German beer?
Oh, only when I go out. Or stay home.
Beck's. And when do you drink Beck's?
I used to drink it for a change of pace. Now it is my pace.
Beck's? Every once in a while. Or twice in a while. Or 3 times.
Beck's. How about you?
Only when I'm alone. Or with someone.
Beck's. The #1 imported German beer. In dark, too.
There's a new kind of money in circulation. Hungry money. Hungry money doesn't just lie there. It checks out all the options and head straight for the bank that's as hungry as you are. Mid-Atlantic.
Confirming we've credited interest to all your accounts.
Investing or borrowing, trust accounts, CDs, it's all here at Mid-Atlantic, where the hungry money goes.
All right, pal. Let's go to work.
CBS Sports coverage of today's Big East Championship game is sponsored by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. Gillette and the revolutionary Gillette Sensor Shaving System. Gillette, the best a man can get. And by Pontiac and your local Pontiac dealer. We build excitement.
7:59 to go. We're tied at 60. Billy, I can't wait any longer now. Well, what about this stat you've been bleeding?
Okay, first of all, and this is a little bit of a setup, but what is your favorite stat?
My bank account.
Okay, that was a great line. But it's not as good as this stat. Today in Long Beach, California, Jerry Tarkanian's going to be playing at Long Beach.
Right.
He is 80-0 as a visiting coach on the guy on his opponent's court.
80-0?
He has never lost a game in Long Beach. 80-0.
But he lost when he was there.
No, never lost a game in Long Beach at home. 80-0. That's the greatest stat in the history of sport. And he's the visitor.
I don't know. Joe DiMaggio doesn't agree with
No.
Anyway, we're tied at 60. 7:42 to go, and Hinnefeld comes up and knocks down the jump shot. His first field goal here in the second half.
62-60.
Scott's got to be careful. He had 1 foot over, almost put himself in a backcourt situation. Well, they're going to the big guys now.
Owens got it inside to Coleman, but there was a foul. No basket before the shot.
You know, sometimes it would be smart for Derek Coleman to call timeout, walk over to his teammates and say, fellas, let me introduce you to who I am. Because if you'll get me the ball, I'll put you on my back and carry you to this championship.
That foul, Smith's first. You know, it's a tribute to the three men working the game. Jody Sylvester, Larry Limbo, and Jim Howell that we really haven't noticed them much here this afternoon. Doing a fine job with tough game. Basketball is a very tough game to officiate. All these big bodies that we've got now and so much speed out on the floor, Billy.
Yeah, and they've let them play. You know, you've got a defensive team that's grabbing at every pass and trying to block out so well. You have Syracuse like to push the ball, so they have done a very good job.
Connecticut up a point.
Well, Syracuse picking up their defense.
Win.
Well, the first half it was Walker, and the second half it's been Gwynn.
The Syracuse foul is charged to Dick Johnson.
This is a sensational shot. He uses his body, shields the defender. Coleman, a great shot blocker, couldn't even get over there to touch it.
One shot.
18 against BC was his high. He's now at 16.
Take a close look at the young man Quinn when he shoots that free throw. Michael Jordan is undoubtedly his hero.
I see the tongue, but what impresses me most are the eyes. He really concentrated on that target, and never did they move.
Well, Scott had 8 quick points off the bench, threw in 2 threes and a left-handed runner. He has got nice shooting form.
Oh, he sure does. And you know, at 6'8" or 9", he's tough to guard because by the time you get out there, he's got the shot off.
Owens back. All on the shot. Walker all over it.
Well, Syracuse today has had the ball 4 times.
This a reminder that the World Figure Skating Championships are coming up next right after this, Billy. And then our selection show at 6:30.
Get out the pad and pencil. And anybody who tried to do this as a preview a couple of weeks ago, I had Missouri at automatic #1, and they'll be struggling to be, what, a 3 today?
Guess at the 4 #1s. That's not really fair. You know what? Because I don't want you to handicap this game. Because we're right in the middle of it. And we both know that for sure the winner is going to be a #1. So we got some more subs coming in.
Well, an interesting thing, Brent, the #1 and #2 seeds have never lost an opening round game, so I guess in that respect it doesn't make a lot of difference.
Michigan State, Billy, a winner today. Do you see them as #1?
Yeah, you would have to think that. They're very difficult conference, probably the most difficult from top to bottom in the country this year. They come out. Great job by Judd Heathcote. Syracuse's defense is underrated. They have really played well here in this stretch drive, but they've gotten back into it.
The lob to Cyrillic, not quite quick enough to break off, and Syracuse with a chance to tie or go ahead on the three. 6:27 to go. Scott with a hold and a pump, but couldn't fire. That would have been some field goal if that one would have fallen.
Well, you know who went out there on him? Burrell. And probably only somebody as quick as Burrell could have altered that shot.
George back.
Replacing John Gwynn.
And Gwynn will leave to a nice ovation from the Connecticut fans.
I would say at this point, going down a stretch, if it's going to be fatigue, Connecticut probably in a little better shape than is Syracuse.
Timeout, Connecticut.
Timeout, Connecticut. 6:10. Jim Calhoun and the Huskies lead it, but only by 2 over Jim Boeheim and the Orange. We'll be right back.
St. Patrick's Day is a time of celebration, and this year Budweiser and I are making it a time of giving as well, because this month I'll be in stores and pubs all across America for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Give $1 to the MDA and you'll get a shamrock with your name on it. Look for my Shamrocks for MDA display wherever Budweiser and Bud Light are sold. You can't miss me. I'm the redhead in green.
Look out tomorrow.
If you're considering a new car, consider that this legendary American car company has outsold every brand of import for the past 6 years. The company, Pontiac. The reason? Americans have always preferred distinctive, technically advanced automobiles. And now all this Pontiac excitement is especially affordable.
Gillette announces a razor that can sense the individual needs of your face. Introducing the extraordinary Gillette sensor shaving system. Sensor blades are mounted on responsive springs to continuously sense and adjust to your face for the best shave a man can get. Closer, smoother, safer. New Gillette sensor.
Jim Nance in New York. 13-year-old Jennifer Capriati lost today in the finals of a tennis tournament in Florida. At 13 years old, she was the youngest ever to play in a tournament final. In the far court, Gabriela Sabatini serving for the match. She wins it 6-4, 7-5 in that tournament final. And a reminder, 4:30 Eastern Time, the pairs competition in the World Figure Skating Championships coming up here on CBS Sports. Right now, let's skate back to Madison Square Garden with our favorite pair, Brent and Billy.
All right, Jimmy, thank you. And the ice is down on the Garden underneath the basketball arena here, being used for the Big East Championship. Jim Boeheim in this final for the 5th consecutive year. And he has brought the Orangemen to the Big East Championship for a record 8th time. Consistently a standout, playing this year's darlings of the conference, the Huskies of Connecticut, out of Storrs, Connecticut, and UConn leading at 65-63 at the 5:40 mark. Smith, going to be a great play. Short that time. Cyrillic with a big offensive rebound as Connecticut continues to tempo away at the clock.
Backdoor cut available that time for Hennefeld, and he didn't take it. Cyrillic had it all set up against Billy Owens. Great defense by Derek Coleman on the switch.
Smith puts it down on Owens, and pushing is called against the Syracuse star, his 3rd.
Lucky break for Connecticut because Smith was turning that ball over on the dribble.
And the team 6.
So that puts them at 6 for the team fouls. Connecticut already over the limit. So at the last 5 minutes, we'll be shooting 1 and 1 on fouls such as that.
Brent, here's the 2-3 zone on the out-of-bounds situation. Smith would be the most dangerous shooter against his zone. Hennefeld has been in a slump somewhat.
George, the runner was short. Hit by Coleman, out of bounds, Connecticut ball.
And Burrell saying, how do you think I ended up down on the floor? It got pushed from behind.
Burrell is scoreless in this game. Hennefeld with 4 points. So Syracuse doing a good job defensively against the Husky forwards here today who are on the floor. And also Cyrillic is scoreless. But not Smith. He has put in 17 points and George 16, so the guards are carrying the way here for the Huskies. Tried to get it to Johnson, and he did. Slickly done by Stevie Thompson, and it's a 2-point game again.
Ball went right under Burrell's hands, who thought he had the interception timed perfectly. Tate George said, pay attention. How about that? He's shouting instructions out there.
Over to Syracuse. That's the 12th Connecticut turnover.
Replacing Dan Cyrillic.
Right to you, Billy. Cyrillic leaving, and Walker is back. Seems to be a critical juncture in this game for Connecticut right now. Inside of 4 minutes, their lead is shaky. Johnson down the middle. But not hold him off that time, and Smith now comes back for the Huskies. Oh, he's bringing it all the way. Run down by George, a fresh 45.
You know, I watched Smith dribble in practice, and he really has that ability to get that ball down so low to the floor, and he's using it extremely well on his drives to the basket now. Hennefeld's getting knocked all over the place inside. Both teams really playing defense hard-nosed right now. There's another push. That time Stevie Thompson
took Smith down. He's out of it, so Hennefeld now gives it up to Burrell, who drew the foul, and the freshman comes to the free throw line, where he hit 4 big ones against Georgetown down the stretch yesterday. Scott's first.
And Brett, the point you made about the officials, that we haven't seen them really involved in the game, and I think what the players are doing right now defensively, they're realizing they're allowing them to play, and they're maybe going one step too far. Now there's a lot of holding, a lot of banging. Somebody's going to get a foul.
Syracuse calls a timeout. We'll be right back.
Look out tomorrow.
Anti-lock braking systems, all-wheel drive, fuel-injected multi-valve engines, dent-resistant composite body panels, a turbocharged intercooled V6 engine. Only one car company in the world can put all this technology in one showroom. Pontiac, of course.
Excuse me. Are those Bugle Boy jeans that you're wearing?
Why, yes. They are Bugle Boy jeans.
Thank you.
Quiet down, please. The festivities are for Dwayne tonight. Dwayne, what's it been, 34 years? 34 years. All that time, I don't think Dwayne ever missed a delivery. I guess that means this division never missed a delivery.
Way to go, Dwayne.
Happy retirement, Dwayne.
Boy, good job.
Now it's our turn to deliver.
Mass Mutual, we hope you keep your promises.
Without a trace, Vinny's vanished.
I miss my friend.
And death is just the beginning of life. Wise Guy, Stranger in a Strange Town, Wednesday.
Well, that's the CBS primetime lineup after the news shows this evening and the NCAA selection show. 60 Minutes, then Murder, She Wrote, and the 16th Annual People's Choice Awards. Andy Rooney back for the second straight week. Lives up in Connecticut. No doubt pulling for the Huskies He's a big sports fan, though. He never misses the New York Giants. Probably enjoying the action today. 3 minutes to go here in regulation, 67-65. Connecticut leading Derek Coleman in the orange.
And remember yesterday, this young man hit 4 big ones in a row. What'd you say yesterday? You never know if Jimmy looks like he's been to the dentist or going. He hadn't changed today.
Three-point Connecticut lead. 3-minute mark.
Got to find Coleman and give him an opportunity. He's got Walker on him.
Slapped away by Walker. He goes after it, comes up with it, and down to the floor, and the foul is called on Johnson. That's his 4th personal foul.
And Derek says, throw it higher. He had Walker pinned, but the ball was not thrown high enough. You've got to give that man a little bit of a lead.
They give Coleman his 4th, and not Johnson, who was coming the other way on the interchange there. It was Coleman who got Walker, who will now come to the free throw line.
Brent, I think the guy that should throw the ball to Coleman on this exchange is Billy Owens, because he has that good arc on his pass. Free throw, hitting it.
Four-point Connecticut lead. 2:49 left in regulation.
And they're man-to-man.
Owens with the jump shot. Taken off by Hennefeld. A quality rebound here by the Huskies at the 2:30 mark.
Where's Walker going? Got rid of it. Jimmy Calhoun gulps for air, seeing that one.
Bringing precious seconds off the clock.
Not a 4 corners. Nice to have a guy like Hennefeld who can come out and get that ball from the guards.
Now they bring it down inside of 2 minutes, and the shot clock is inside 10.
Smith is passing to no one.
He was fouled, and that was Stevie Thompson committing his 5th.
Brent, when Smith is so good with that ball and dribbles so low to the floor that he's going to have to get double-team help if they're going to go to a little 4-corner type action, because it's impossible to stop him from getting off some kind of shot spread out that much. Stevie Thompson asking for help, and he's a good defender.
Jim Calhoun brought a superstar to this tournament by the name of Cliff Robinson. Connecticut could not get the job done. He's moved on to the Portland Trailblazers. Now this year, no one single star, just a collection of outstanding role players. And they have given themselves a chance to win the school's first Big East championship. Only 3 schools have ever won this tournament: Syracuse, Georgetown, and St. John's. Connecticut now trying to become the 4th.
Great defense by Walker. Wouldn't let Scott get the jump shot off.
He did there. Another 3 for Scott. That is 3 for the game in the second half. And it pulls Syracuse back to within 3 points.
Boeheim wanted a timeout. Couldn't get it. The backdoor cut. And you can see Smith saying, Stevie Thompson, I'm going to try to take you.
Walker out to screen for Smith. Gets the corner turn. Gets on the inside. Offensive foul. Jody Sylvester with the big call. Offensive foul against Smith.
What created the foul situation is Smith committed so far out. You can see he's about 18 feet from the basket, allowed the weak side defense to get way over in position.
Syracuse down by 3 points.
He walked.
Scott turns it over. That is the 20th turnover by Syracuse. 45.8 seconds on the clock.
Exactly, Brent. You see the play, and he's going to make his decision up so soon that it allowed, in this particular case, Scott to come over from the weak side to help out and draw the charge. What Jim Calhoun has done, he's brought in 3 guards, and Syracuse realizes that he can't allow Connecticut to hold it the whole 45, so they're going to foul.
So Scott giveth and Scott taketh away. Syracuse forced to foul. Edwards commits his second. And the sophomore standout, Chris Smith from Bridgeport, steps to the line. 71-68. Shooting 1 and 1. None bigger for UConn than the front end here. A star in the making.
Well, Brent, pretty good heritage he came from in high school. John Bagley, Wes Matthews, John Garris all attended the same high school. 3 pretty good guards up in this part of the country.
Syracuse must hurry. Edwards with the 3, misfiring, ball out of bounds. Connecticut saves it. Deep to Smith at the 29-second mark. The foul in the backcourt.
Brent, when you're down 4, there's no need to take a 3. Go for the 2 inside. So that was just a young man's mistake.
Tate George from Newark, New Jersey with 16 points.
Let's remember he was on the NIT championship team, played right here in the Garden. He wanted to go to the foul line. You could see it in his eyes. Look at how he's standing in there. Yes, sir.
Stevie Thompson missing everything. Owens back with the 2. And a quick timeout called at the 19-second mark. A 4-point Connecticut lead. We'll be right back.
You want a deal?
The Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra is one of America's most popular cars, and it's about to get a lot more popular. We've rolled back the price on the Cutlass Sierra S sedan by $500. Plus, factory-to-dealer incentives of $750 to $1,250 may be passed on to you. And qualified first-time buyers can get $600 cash back. That can mean up to $2,350 on a new Sierra S. See your Olds dealer now for details and deals.
On a new generation, Oldsmobile.
Scott Musburger. Connecticut is 19 seconds away from its first ever Big East championship. Billy, in the preseason, one magazine wrote, if Connecticut goes anywhere, it will be back to the NIT. It will be surprising if Connecticut can climb higher than 6th in the Big East Conference. Now, Jim Calhoun and the Huskies can win the Big East tournament and wind up, and we're speculating here, but they figure to wind up with a #1 seed of the upcoming NCAA tournament if they win here. It is just an unbelievable turnaround.
It really is. Biggest turnaround in Big East history. Now, what you look for here if you're Connecticut is a potential breakaway. They're not guarding the man taking the ball out of bounds, but Syracuse will foul immediately. They've got to. And a smart move on Jim Calhoun's part to break your better free throw shooters to the ball, because you know Syracuse is going to immediately foul.
And it will be the senior who will be coming up to that free throw line. Tate George. He has scored 18 points, 4 of 4 at the free throw line.
And think about the way this game opened up. What was it, 11 or 12 to nothing?
It was 10 to nothing before they scored, but Syracuse did lead it by 12 points.
Tate George at the line. 1 and 1.
Had it knocked away to Thompson, who put in the lay-in, and it's 4 again with 8 seconds left for Jim Boeheim and the Orangemen. We'll be right back.
Over the past decade, all other lines of cars have led Mercedes-Benz in one crucial category: depreciation. Which proves that sometimes great cars finish last. Mercedes-Benz, the resale legend.
76-72. Is it impossible for Syracuse, Billy?
No, it isn't impossible, but Brent, players have to be very aware of arithmetic when you get down to this point in the game. Stevie Thompson, the two-point shot was of no value there because it still put him down 4. He should throw the ball. He should have thrown the ball back outside and taken a chance for the 3, which puts you 1 possession away from tying up again. So you have to be very aware of that differential. So, and Syracuse did a wise thing. They had the 3-point area surrounded, but Stevie took the 2.
And George will come up to the free throw line. 7.6 seconds left.
Nice sportsmanship there between Tate George and Stevie Thompson. 2 seniors who have had sensational careers, quality all the way. And just to think, this is just a conference championship. We've got 3 weeks to go.
Coach Calhoun had a great comment about this Connecticut team a few weeks ago. Looking back at the whole season, the coach said, this team has gone from peach fuzz to stubble. We got whiskers on our chin. And pretty soon, Jim Calhoun and these Huskies could have a championship on their belt.
And Brent, I like the last thing that he wrote on the blackboard yesterday after all his instruction. Believe in us. Some line. He feels it now.
This is better than crossing the finish line at the Boston Marathon for Jim Calhoun.
They cannot lose now because Syracuse cannot call another timeout even after the basket. It's over. They don't have to take the ball out of bounds.
3 counts, and it's over. UConn, in an amazing turnaround, captures the Big East tournament. Let the celebration begin. Done a great job through the years, and he's selected as our Chevrolet players of the game. Chris Smith of Bridgeport, Connecticut, and Derek Coleman of Syracuse. A check in the amount of $1,000 will be donated to each college's general scholarship fund to further assist qualified students in all chosen academic fields. Roger, thanks for your help through the years, and now we go to James Brown. JB?
All right, Brent, the biggest one-year turnaround in Big East history. What was the key this year, Coach?
Well, the key was us really just have great defensive pressure and a great group of young kids who worked very hard, James.
I remember you from 17 years ago at Northeastern University, having played against you. What was the most significant change in your coaching style till today?
I really believe that the most significant thing was the up-tempo game and the three-point shot, which I think that you have to use it today with the game.
Last question. Seton Hall was a Cinderella team last year. This year it's your team. I understand P.J. Carlesimo had some advice for you.
Regardless of what happens, he just wanted us to enjoy the ride.
And enjoy the ride indeed. Let's go back over to Brent Musburger.
Thank you, JB. So today it's Madison Square Garden for the Huskies of UConn. Who knows? Will it be Denver down the road? For Billy Packer and James Brown, I'm Brent Musburger. So long from the Garden. The final score, Connecticut 78, Syracuse 75. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports, home of the NCAA Basketball Championship.